George, I need your help.
What's up?
Next week, I have a family camping trip. I need a knife. Here's the thing though, I have a brother-in-law, kind of judgy. I don't want to look like an idiot. What do you got?
How much time you got?
I got all day.
Let's go.
Hey guys, how's it going? Today at Blade HQ, we are camping. I'm Spencer, this is George. We left the office and we're gonna talk camp knives.
Be jealous.
Quick introduction, just for many of you that don't know who we are. Like I said, my name is Spencer. I've been at Blade HQ for about 2 years in various capacities in the marketing department. George, how long have you been here for?
I've been here about 3 years and I've been a copywriter the whole time. I just recently joined this team though. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have him. Just so you guys know, it's kind of a treat to have George. He has been here, like you said, as a copywriter. So that means that he's handled thousands of knives, written about these knives. He knows what he's talking about, and I'm excited to have him here. And I'm just here because my mom thinks I'm handsome. So
I think you're handsome too,
thanks
Spencer.
so much. So just real quick, a little bit of background, how we came up with this. Over the last 2 years of being here, my knife collection has grown quite a bit, but there's one thing that I haven't got into too much yet, and that's an excellent fixed blade. And George thinks it's been way too long, so it's time. So the goal here is that hopefully there's something that George picked that I like, and maybe I'll be taking home with me. So there are a couple folders here, but the overall goal is to have a good working camp knife that I can take when I go next week. So George, how did you pick these?
So I actually own several of these, and these are knives I've seen that really stood out in camping spheres. And I think any of them would be a great choice for you. So I just thought I'd bring out the smorgasbord and let you pick.
Looks like we have plenty of brands that are covered here and plenty of different price points. So there might be something for you guys as well. And hopefully you get something out of this. So let's dive in. So the first knife we have on the table here is an excellent place to start. It's the Morakniv Basic 511. So just some quick specs I'll go over. We have an overall length of 8 inches and a blade length of 3.5 inches. We have a high carbon steel. We have a polymer handle. We also have the polymer sheath that it comes with. George, why did you pick this one?
So I think you can't really talk about camping knives if you're not gonna bring up a Mora. Because first of all, for the price,
yes,
it's really hard to beat. For 10 bucks, you're getting a real knife that you can really use. Like if you watch Histories alone, how many Moras have been on there and people survive for months with these? It's incredible, I love it. It's got a nice Scandi grind, and something about Scandi grinds, just love wood. So if you're carving wood or making feather sticks or something, this is the knife for you. Great fire knife, great all-around camp knife, and for 10 bucks, you really can't go wrong.
Yeah. $9.95 on BladeHQ.com. I'd buy a couple. So the next one is a folder. Like I said, there's a couple folders on the table. This one is the Ontario Rat 1. We're over 8 inches on the overall length. The blade length on this one is just over 3.5 inches, and it comes in at $39.95 on the website. So definitely another great budget option. D2 steel on this. We have the liner locks. We have a pocket clip that can be exchanged for tip up or tip down carry. George, why did you go with this one?
So RAT, for the Ontario Rat, stands for Randall's Adventure Training. Randall's Adventure Training is the company behind ESEE, and it is one of the world's premier survival instruction institutions. So they designed this knife a long time ago, and it has quickly become the gold standard for budget EDC knives, but it was born for the woods. And it has a lot of the features. It's got a nice big handle that even if you're wearing gloves and have big hands, you can get around it pretty easy. You can choke up if you need to. Got a nice sharp spine too. You don't see that a lot on folders. It's a great choice, especially for its price.
Yeah. I kind of like the sharp spine on it. I don't know if I'd want to get into it because it's a folder this way. Maybe you'd close it first.
Yeah, then try and scrape a rod that way.
It's good. And I think, you know, for many of kind of the car camping situations where I'm opening up package of hot dogs, maybe just trying to get a fire going, something like this would be great, especially for the price. That's a good one. Next, we're moving on to the Spyderco. We have the Spyderco Bow River. Some of the specs on this one is, again, this one is just about over 8 inches long. The blade length on this is about 4.4 inches. We've got 8 CR13 MOV on the blade steel. G10 handles on these. This knife, we're not supposed to say this. This is a pretty knife. We have the leather sheath. Why do we have this one on the table, George?
So I like this one because if you're going fishing on your camping trip, I would say this one's for you. The blade steel, that 8CR13 MOV, has great corrosion resistance and it's reasonably tough as well. But what it has in spades is ease of sharpening. You get your knife dull or something, you hit a rock, you just pick up a smooth stone out of this river and you can have a serviceable edge on it in not too long. It's a great little knife. And I think it kind of looks like a fillet knife just a little bit. I don't know what y'all think there. Yeah, but you could also carve some feather sticks, start a fire with it. Wouldn't be too bad at all. And once again, it's pretty. Look at these layers in this G10.
And the mirror finish on the blade.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah!
They start at $41.95. There's a few different variations, but $41.95 gets you into Spyderco fixed blade. It's great. And it also comes with a leather sheath.
Yeah, and look at all this reinforcement along this sheath too.
So next we're moving on. We have the Boker Nessmi Pro. Specs on this one, this one's a smaller knife. We have a blade length of 2.75, an overall length of about 6 inches. This particular model is a Blade HQ exclusive. You get the storm gray finish on the blade. You also have this burlap micarta. Did I mention this one's designed by Jesper Voxnes? Is that how you say his name?
I think so, yeah. It's Danish. I probably say it wrong too.
Okay. This one's quite a bit smaller knife. Why did you pick this one, George?
So I picked this one as partly a throwback and partly because it's a really awesome knife. So for the throwback, a fellow who went by the pen name Nessmi way back in the 1890s designed a knife much like this, and he wrote for a magazine under his pen name Nessmi, and he designed this sort of blade shape with this hump along the top that reinforces the tip and a nice slicey belly. And it really does well in the woods. It's a good slicer, it's a good piercer, you can skin with it. I wouldn't baton with it, but I mean,
like some twigs.
To each his own, yeah. He was sort of the pioneer of modern day backpacking, and we have a lot to thank for him. But Jesper Voxnes got a hold of it and he put the most legendary handle on this knife. Like, I cannot get enough of this handle.
This one feels like it kind of hugs my hand. I don't have the hams that Kurt has. I kind of have small hands. Gunslinger hands is what we call them at the office.
Yeah, but I shoot with this hand.
But it feels like it kind of hugs my hand. This one, you also get the leather sheath with it. The price on this one is $59.95 on the website, so go check it out. That's an interesting one, kind of more of an EDC fixed blade. I actually like this next one. This is the Gerber Principle. We have an overall length of 7.5 inches and the blade comes in at just over 3 inches. 420 HC steel. This one's made in the USA. $62.95 on the website. It has these rubberized grips, which I actually really like. You also get the polymer sheath.
In my eyes, this is the Super Mora.
Okay.
Because you get that same true zero edge Scandi grind, but you get the full exposed tang. And 420 HC is tough. It is one of the toughest stainless steels out there, and it has incredible corrosion resistance. So this is a knife that you can kind of set and forget. You throw it in your backpack and it'll last you your whole trip. You don't have to worry about it rusting or anything. And then it has a nice sharp spine too for doing any of that work. And that grippy rubbery stuff, your hand gets wet or something or sweaty, you're not going anywhere. Now, you were mentioning earlier that you don't care for this pinch point.
I just find, I really like the tackiness of the rubber, like you mentioned. I just find it has this area for pinch grip in here, but they've put these inserts in here, mostly for the look, I'm guessing, but it actually makes it kind of slippery. So maybe you choke up a little bit more on the blade, or you can rest your fingers in the holes as well.
That's what I do.
Maybe it's because I have smaller hands. That's where it falls. But I really like this knife, and I think for the price and an USA made product, I think this one's tough to beat. And this might be one that I would actually choose. I don't love the sheath. I don't know. It just feels too budget friendly. Is that a nice word to say?
So I disagree personally. I really like this sheath. So it's modular. You have this back section here, and then there's plates that come with it. So you can do it vertical, or there's another one that makes it horizontal. So you can do scout carry if you're left-handed, or I'd probably just carry it right here. Make it easy to grab.
We're gonna move on to easily the beefiest knife on the table. This is the K-Bar Becker Campanion. Let's give you some specs real quick. What'd you do?
I made this lovely wood for us.
Dude, does that wash off?
No, I think that's one of the downsides of powder coat. It just kind of sticks.
Okay.
It adds character. Remember, new knives get hate on Instagram. You got to use your stuff.
Fair enough, fair enough. This thing is almost 11 inches long, blade length of 5.25 inches. This spine is about a 1/4 inch thick, and this thing weighs nearly a pound. It's 1095 steel. This thing on the website, before I had actually seen this knife in person, I looked on the website and I said it just looked like a smaller, stout knife, and I think it has to do with the hardware. When you look at the hardware here, you just think it's the same size as your typical, but it's full size, so it really throws off the size of the knife. When I got it, I was like, wow, that thing is big. Why did you go with this guy?
So this is your one tool option. I picked this because I'm thinking, you know, Spencer doesn't also want to carry an axe around. He doesn't want to carry a hammer. He probably would just grab the BK2. 1095 Crovan, a 1/4 inch thick with this really thick saber grind. I would like to shake the big meaty claw of the man who could break this thing. Like, my goodness.
Break it.
Break it?
Is that what you said, break it?
Yeah, I don't think it's possible. Look at that.
Yeah,
It can carve decently well. Like, it's reasonably nimble in the hand because there's enough weight back here. But if you choke back here, you can get some hatchet-like chopping done. And don't get me started on batoning. It just shatters wood like it's nothing. This knife's a beast.
What do you think about this sheath here? It's kind of
it's the best sheath in the Becker
really?
line. Yeah.
It's kind of this hybrid with the nylon webbing up here, and then you have the polymer down here.
Yeah.
Why is it the best?
I'd probably ditch the webbing and I would do maybe a tech lock on the back or something. Okay. But most of the time, these Ethan Becker knives from K-Bar come with these nylon sheaths, which are fine. They're just not quite my jam. I like a snap fit plastic.
It grips well too. It's actually kind of tough to get out. And I guess if I'm car camping, I could just leave this in the car with the rest of the cast iron and the Dutch oven. So
yeah, I wouldn't want to carry that miles up a hill.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And this one's going to be $104.95 on BladeHQ.com. Next on the table, we have another folder. This guy is the Cold Steel. I can't even flick this open with one hand. This is the Cold Steel 4MAX Scout, designed by Andrew Demko. Some of the specs on this guy: it's a 10-inch overall length, 4 inches on the blade. So those of you that are keeping up with your calculators, that's 6 inches on the handle. It's AUS 10 steel, comes in at 10 ounces. So maybe one of the more heavy knives that's still on the table. And it goes for $110.49 on BladeHQ.com. Okay, sell me on this one, man.
I know it's gonna be hard. You like your small knives, but hear me out. I think, getting ahead of ourselves, this thing is pretty much the folding SE4. You get the same kind of blade, but when you fold it up, check this out, it's gonna be way smaller than your whole SE4 package.
Okay.
And I personally like that. And also, I can open it with one hand.
Well, I know.
You just gotta get there, man.
I'll work on it.
And honestly, like, you say it's a huge knife, but I don't think it's that ridiculous. I mean, here's it next to...
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's a little ridiculous.
The Shaman is a big knife. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, okay, fine. It's a little big, but I still love it, and it'd be a great camp knife.
It may not be for me, but I can definitely see why it's on the table. You have sold me. Just to be able to have a folder that has that much ability.
Yeah, and it's got the triad lock too. So this is like Andrew Demko's prime design in locks, unless you consider the shark lock to be the new one. But it's like your traditional lock back, but it's got this stop pin in here, and that adds a lot of rigidity to the knife. It makes it reinforce against the frame more so than just the lock. One of the strongest locks on the market. So if you wanted a baton with a folder, this would be my pick all day.
Sweet.
Don't ask about how big it is in your pocket.
This is the Bradford Guardian 3. This one has an overall length of 6.75 inches and a blade length of 3.5 inches. Comes in at $119.95 on BladeHQ.com. AEBL steel on this with the leather sheath. There is a ton of variations that you can get on the website of this particular knife. So if you can think of it, it's there probably. Tons of blade steels.
So I personally think this knife is a great choice for sort of a lightweight camp utility knife. You get a lot of blade for the amount of handle you get, and I just barely fit on that handle. And I'd say I have reasonably meaty hands, but you get a good long blade. So you're slicing an apple or you're carving wood or something, you have plenty of blade length for that. And then it comes with a nice leather sheath, but you can get a Kydex one from Armitage. I think it's a great package. I like it.
And that's the first thing I noticed was just kind of the blade to handle ratio. It does feel like you're probably not going to do some big, like hard use tasks, not too much chopping or batoning. Again, I think this one's maybe more of an EDC fixed blade. A great option if that's what you're into.
Yeah, but I think it can fit in the campsite too.
For sure. We've already talked about this one for a second. This is the SE4 from ESEE. I got a freaking
wasp on your hand.
Man.
Dare
It's
me?
all right.
Do you dare me?
9 inches overall length on this knife, 4.5 on the blade, 4.5 on the handle. This one is made in the USA. 1095 powder coat steel. We have the G10 handles.
Once again, kind of like the Mora, you can't talk camp knives without bringing an ESEE to the party, because ESEE is just designed for the woods, and it's a simple knife, and I'd say you get a lot for your money here, because not only is it well done with a nice thick spine, a nice, well flat ground blade that you can slice with for real, and these comfortable G10 handles. But it is warranted like no other knife on the table. If I find myself the biggest, naughtiest piece of seasoned mahogany I can find, and I smash this through the hammer and it breaks, ESEE will just replace it.
All right.
It's great. Best warranty on the market. And for a camp knife, that's something you can really use, because when you're camping, that's when you find yourself putting tools into roles they weren't designed for. You're guilty of it. You know it. Don't you say you're not.
This one feels, unlike the other one, the blade to handle ratio on this one feels really good. And you get the polymer sheath on this one, fits nice, lots of carry options. Next we have the tops, mini Brothers of Bushcraft. All right, specs on this, we're looking at 8 1/4 overall length, 3 3/4 blade length, made in the USA. Steel is 1095. We have the micarta handles with the bow drill divot. We have the Kydex sheath and the whistle. I like this feature. Why is this on the table?
So I picked the Brothers of Bushcraft Mini because sometimes when I'm camping, I like to try and LARP around in the woods like it's a survival situation.
George said, this is a quote, I heard him say this the other day, LARPing around in the woods with a bushcraft knife is one of the funnest things you can do with your clothes on.
Dude, my mom's gonna watch this.
Dude, you're a married man. He's a married man. You're good.
Oh boy. LARP around in the woods with this like it's a survival situation. So if you wanted to do some friction fires or whatever, now I can already hear the people in the comment. If you are going to be out camping, why don't you just use a lighter to start your fire?
That's what I go with.
So if you're in a real survival situation and you have a lighter, please use it. Don't waste your calories building a friction fire. But it's fun to know how to do that. And if you're sitting around camp all afternoon, you got nothing better to do with your life, why not try to make a friction fire?
How does the bow drill do with the micarta, do you know?
I know it kind of burns in over time, but it doesn't wear it out or anything.
Have you ever actually got a fire going with a bow drill?
I've got smoke. I gotta work on it though.
Pretty impressive.
I'm not a super pro bushcrafter.
$119.95 on BladeHQ.com, and let's move on to the next one. This one may be my favorite here. I got a couple that I really like. This is the LionSteel M4. Specs on this guy, 8 inches overall length, 3 3/4 blade length. Steel on this one is M390. There is a BladeHQ exclusive where the M4 actually has M4 steel. These ones start at $155.95 on BladeHQ.com.
I mean, I've said my piece about this one. Go check out the overview video I did. This is probably my favorite fixed blade in the world.
George did an excellent job on that. Do check it out if you want to know more. Give us the skinny.
The skinny, perfect size, good ergonomics, good rounded spine, but somehow still can strike a ferro rod. A great overall user.
I like the rounded spine. I like rounded spines. I just want to lick it sometimes. Is that weird?
Yes.
Leather sheath. This leather sheath is really nice. I know it's not you have the Kydex sheath,
Yeah,
correct?
I got a Kydex.
Okay. Next we have the White River FC 3.5. 3.5 refers to the blade length. Overall length is 7.75. S35 VN blade steel. He's coming at $159.95 on BladeHQ.com. George?
Yeah, so if you're doing fires for real though, the entire Firecraft line from White River is the place to go. But I like this one because it's the smallest and lightest of the bunch. I could probably take or leave the ring, but this thing is nice and comfortable in the hand, a good belly for if you want to do some food prep with it or something. It has this divot right here. Can I see that ferro rod that's in there? It just throws sparks so well. And if you're starting fires with your knife, I would say this is the one to do it with.
Yeah, I like this. G10 handles? Yeah, I like that it's smaller, lighter weight, comes in at 3.5 ounces. Kydex sheath.
And I like this Kydex sheath because it keeps it so slim. Sometimes you get these honking Kydex sheaths. You could like fry an egg on that thing. But this thing, just small, just barely enough to fit the knife.
It also comes with a ferro rod, kind of a minimalist style. I like this one. 2 more on the table, guys. This one, this is the Fallkniven F1X. Quick specs on this, coming in at 8.3 inches. Blade length on this one is 4 inches. The price on this one is $229.95 on BladeHQ.com. You have the Thermarun handles. They give it's kind of a rubberized grip to it. Laminate cobalt steel. This is another sexy knife, I'm not gonna lie. George?
So this is actually one that I was torn when I was shopping for M4. I was also considering this guy, and I went with the M4 for a little bit of pricing and size. This is a little bit bigger, but this is still an epic knife, especially with that convex grind. The hardcore bushcrafters out there all swear by the convex. They're like, either Scandi or convex or it's not for me. And this was born for the field. And it's got this really hot tungsten carbide blade finish. Kind of gives it this gunmetal gray look.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I feel this knife. Nice thick blade too, but good and slicey, and that handle just bites your hand just right. One of my favorite fixed blades on the table for sure.
This one's super nice. If you have a little bit of extra cash that you want to spend, definitely look at this one. It also has this locking sheath, which is nice.
Yeah, that's not going anywhere.
Last one on the table today.
This is the new kid on the block.
This one came out this year. This is the Benchmade Anonimus. I see this one as a jack of all trades and a camping knife. Some of the specs on this one is just about a 10-inch overall length, right down the middle with a 5-inch blade. You have the CPM crew wear steel, G10 handles. George, why did you pick this one?
So I'll tell you, this was not love at first sight for me. I saw this and I thought that is too thin.
Yeah.
That is a thin blade right there. This is a camp cook knife. Like, yeah, sure, slice your tomatoes, do all that, but this is not a true survivor. And then I remembered CPM crew wear. That stuff is tough and it can take it all. And this is a light knife and a thin knife, but it can also baton and it can chop and it can do all your hard carving tasks and everything. And it'll just take it because that's what crew wear does. Just a little bit of it goes a long way.
I do wish that, unlike the Fallkniven, these G10 seems to be a little slippery. There's a good area, good pinch grip on this one. Definitely is thinner. Comes in at just 2.5 ounces. We have the Kydex sheath as well on this one.
Is that for real? 2.5 is light. That might be for real. That's light.
So there you go. $261 on BladeHQ.com. Get you the Benchmade Anonimus. And we're done. So everyone, thanks for being here today. If you enjoy knife content, make sure you like and subscribe. Please, if you have experience with any of these knives, if you use them for good or bad, let us know in the comments. Help the community out. We really love to hear from you.
Yeah, and if I missed out on any, please roast me in the comments. Tell me where I'm missing here.
Oh, they will. 100%.
I'm counting on it.
Again, all these knives are going to be linked in the description. So if you want to go to BladeHQ.com and learn more or pick any of them up, go there.
So which knife are you feeling?
Out of all of these, I really like the LionSteel. I think for the price and what you get and the way it fits in my hand, I really like this one. But I realize now, I feel horrible. I failed to mention that this is a backpacking trip, so I apologize.
For real?
About it. I know, I'm sorry. I should have said something. Dude, it's like a diva already. We'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.